for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into season 3, episode 15. Time is on my side.
Every time we say that, all I can think of is Fallen. And that demon singing that song of Fallen. Which I know I've spoken about this movie so many times, but seriously, go watch it. It's so good. If you like supernatural, you're going to love Fallen. Denzel Washington is amazing.
I feel like I've tried to find it since you keep mentioning it earlier on, and I don't think I can find it anywhere for free. I'll have to pay for it.
Yeah, it's worth it. I would suggest renting it. It's so good. So good. Also, Laura, what's in the box? So I watched 7 again for the first time in years, and it's such a good movie. Okay, firstly,
it's so good.
Secondly, I realized that there was an actor from Supernatural that's in 7, and I freaked out, and I was messaging Laura, and I was like, Laura, this guy's in 7.
Yeah.
So the guy who plays the dude who was in the booth at the Buffalo Bills leather place, not the guy who makes the stuff, the guy who they just interview who was just there, Ticketmaster dude or whatever. He is in Supernatural. Now that I'm not seeing his face, I can't remember which part it was that he played, but he's definitely been in Supernatural.
You said he was Kubrick, didn't you?
That's it. It's Kubrick.
Yeah.
It's Jesus bothering Kubrick. That dude. He's in 7.
John Winchester Jesus.
Yeah. My mind was blown. Okay. Because Laura's so obsessed with that movie. And I was like, holy fuck, it's Kubrick. And I was messaging her. And then I Googled it to just make sure. And Google didn't really come up with a match, but then I was watching the credits and he was there. So I don't know why it's not on his IMDb, because you would think that when I had a quick look, maybe I just didn't look deep enough. I didn't see it. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm wrong. But then the credits rolled. And there was his name, Michael, whatever his last name is. And I was just like, oh, I fucking knew it. So that's another filmic note for you.
I haven't seen 7 for a while. I really like 7. It's a good film.
Yeah, it is a good film. And I like it kind of for the same reason that I like Fallen, in that it's based on a really specific set of lore. So 7 Deadly Sins, really specific. They get into this kind of medieval texty stuff. It has almost a Buffy vibe, or a supernatural vibe, where everything's really grounded in the mythology. And Fallen is the same, because it's about a fallen angel, like a demon coming to mess up good souls on Earth. So it's very steeped in lore in a way that makes it, I think, extra creepy. But also, I feel like I love a detective type thing where it's a mystery. Yeah. And you, as an audience member, are getting all of these clues that you are as excited to unravel as the leading characters. I think that's such a great combination of things. And I usually don't really love cop dramas. Do you remember last episode where I was like, stupid cop dialogue, blah, cops, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. You said Bela.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan. Just doesn't really do it for me, So whenever there's CSI references, and I'm just I have no idea. It goes straight over my head. I'm just oh, okay, yeah.
So I usually like those kinds of things. I like police procedural shows, quite a lot of the time. But I also like films like that, and especially ones from the 90s and the 2000s, because that was a big thing, wasn't it? And 7, Zodiac, all those kinds of films. I always really liked.
I feel like there's a difference between the true crime mystery thriller and the cop drama ones. And so what I was going to say about 7 is that while there are cops in it, I wouldn't say that it's a cop drama. This is way more of a supernatural mystery thriller. Also, young Jensen Ackles and young Brad Pitt really resemble each other.
You said that before, and I was like, do they?
They do. This, again, I'm going to get you with the John Winchester Jesus thing. I'm not wrong. I swear to you. You need to go back and rewatch it and have a look.
I feel like whenever I say someone looks like someone, you're like, no. And then whenever you say someone looks like someone, I'm like, yeah, I suppose so, but not really.
So what you're saying is we're in agreement that we do not see resemblances the same.
I feel like when I see a resemblance, then it's correct. And when
the way I am treated on this podcast, I'm leaving. I'm packing my things.
I'm just bitter because you didn't agree with me when I said that Bobby's wife looked like Bella.
Here's the thing is that was a very knee-jerk reaction on my part because that was just disturbing. I don't know why. I think it's because I am so jaded on seeing young actresses assigned to old dudes.
Yeah.
So jaded with that. And so when you're like, oh, they look alike, I was like, no. Also, because Bobby is TV dad. So the thought that my TV dad would have like, no.
Well, presumably he was married to her when he was like the same age as her.
Yeah, I know, and that did eventually filter through. Like when I look at the photos side by side, I do think that they have similar bone structure. Like I can see what you're saying. And in my defense, I don't think that Jensen Ackles and Brad Pitt look like twins. I think that Jensen Ackles is like, he looks like he could be Brad Pitt's first cousin. Like, I think they have. What? Why is that funny?
You're like, they look so much alike. Well, they kind of look like first cousins.
I think they look really like. I think first cousins tend to look pretty darn similar to each other because there's a lot of shared DNA. So, like, they both have the green eyes. They have a really similar hair color, really similar like cheekbone structure, the same mouth, the same jawline. Like the same long eyelashes. It's the same blend of feminine and masculine beauty. Like their faces, their bone structure, they look alike.
Do you remember when I had that fun fact once where someone said that Jensen looked like David Hasselhoff and we were like, no.
And we were like, rejected.
Yeah, I think he looks more like David Hasselhoff than Brad Pitt.
You are so mean to me sometimes. Okay, listeners, back me up. They look alike, right? Like, this is not just in my head. Like, if it is just in my head and I've been saying all these resemblances and you guys are like, no, tell me, because I'll stop doing it then. Unless we do it for humor, because I'm funny. Way off. But, like, Laura.
No, it's right. I'll just go, no, every time you say someone looks like someone.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Listeners, back me up, okay? Back me up or tell me I'm wrong. Either way, it's going to be funny because you guys are either going to be like, no, Joy, you're insane.
I'll do
only do this for comedy value.
I'll have a picture of Jensen and a picture of Brad Pitt from Seven. You know, when I actually find the pictures, I might be like, oh, actually, I agree.
Yeah. Sometimes I do win you over. Like sometimes you're like, okay, actually, the more I look at it, I can kind of see it.
Yeah, like the John Jesus.
Jesus John. Oh wow, my Eddie Murphy laugh came out. That's how you can tell that I'm genuinely laughing.
I have a muttly laugh when I do that.
Yeah. I have the ugliest authentic laughs. Like not all of them are ugly laughs, but a lot of them are ugly laughs. But it just means that we're best friends. So you guys get to hear all my ugly laughs. Lord.
Should we actually talk about the episode?
We probably should talk about the episode. Do you want to kick it off?
Well, I was mad at the fact that they split up again. And I have in my notes, do they ever learn? And I'm guessing the answer is no.
Probably not. No, they don't. I can actually tell you for a fact they don't learn that they shouldn't split up.
It annoys me every time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Me too. Yeah. Me too. You always know bad shit's going to happen when they split up.
Yeah. But they don't know that apparently.
I don't know. I feel like they do, but they just do it anyway.
Because they're stubborn as well.
I don't like this episode because I feel that Bela is victim blamed. Kind of. Let me explain what I mean really briefly. She was never the bad guy, but she gets pushed into being framed as the bad guy. And I don't feel that what she does in this episode is authentic to her character. Like, go ahead and make a deal and get rid of your horribly abusive parents. Like, I'm down with that. That's fine. But I don't think she would have ever shot Sam and Dean.
Yeah, that was the bit where I was like, I can't believe she did that.
That's not real to me. I also think that, like, remember before when we said, oh, I think she's really trying to extend an olive branch?
Yeah.
I stand by that. And I do think that her feelings are hurt when Dean rebuffs her these different times and they get into their banter and their feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know where to put it in, but I actually have my theory about her. And then I also have a Reddit thread that like perfectly sums up all of my feelings about this episode. and like exactly what I think is going on in this episode and the way she's being treated. So my thoughts on Bella's character, it's like, you know, when I say I have like canon Dean and then what Dean is doing in the episode, and I tell you guys why I think it's different from what my head canon Dean would do, and I think that I'm right about it. I have the same thing for Bela in this episode. I have my headcanon Bela and then what I think is right and what I think is wrong in this episode. And I feel like the themes of the episode are good in a lot of ways, but I disagree with the way that Bella's character is treated in the episode. So, like, my best way to summarize it is that my current working theory, after really sitting down and thinking about this, is that Bela is Frankenstein and the doctor is a stand-in for Victor Frankenstein, because we have really repeated examples of evil men in positions of immense power harming women in very specific ways. So the first, in the opening scene, we see the plastic surgeon, and he's disgusted by his patients who are women who are trying to live up to the absolutely unachievable beauty standards. Like, how dare they age, right?
Yeah.
But then also, how dare they stop themselves from aging? Because he's disgusted by their age and their aging bodies.
Yeah.
But then
you can never
he's
win.
also disgusted by having to fix it and bring them up to the beauty standard. So
Yeah.
it's just like, you can't win. And I thought that that was like, from this reading, it's a critique of that sort of power. So, like the creature in the book by Mary Shelley, Bella is abused and treated with intense cruelty until she herself starts to exhibit monstrous behavior. Now, I want to define her monstrous behavior as the femme fatale. I'm not saying that she is monstrous, because I disagree with what's happening in this episode. But I think that's where the theme of this was trying to take us, that she is like the creature, right? He's not a bad guy in the book. And he's also not a bad guy in the films, actually. He looks terrifying, and so people treat him abhorrently this entire time. He's highly intelligent. He's very caring. Bella's the same. She's highly intelligent. She's very caring. She's ostracized by all of the people who should have helped her. And everyone is so cruel. So it's so isolating. And basically the same thing happens to her that happens to the creature in the book, where she goes through this kind of metamorphosis and she's just pushed away and pushed away, and it makes me really, really sad. And then you think about the aliases that she chose. So you have Bela Lugosi from Dracula, right? Monster movie. Talbot, Lawrence Talbot from The Wolfman. And I was just like, there's this little girl called Abby who is never a monster, who should have been protected and helped. And at every turn, she tries to reach out to Sam and Dean. There's this quip or there's mean remark, and you can literally watch it destroy her. And I think that if things had been written the way that I would have liked to see them written, she would have been able to become such an unbelievably cool character and such an amazing hero. And I'm really, really saddened by the fact that this episode let her down. And I'm also sad that the storytelling industry that we take part in has gotten so caught up in the idea of complex backstories for different characters that they're going to treat this way, that more often than not, they assign some kind of victimhood to them. And what happens then is, if you grow up and you've been a survivor, all the representation of yourself that you see is incredibly negative. And representation really does matter. It's so important for people who are survivors of domestic abuse of any flavor to be able to see growing up that we're not the monsters, right? But we're always portrayed as monsters. We're always cast as bad guys in everything. And it has been really, honestly harmful to my mental health. And so I think that it is a writing tactic that I would like to see made something of the past, the same way that we no longer cast little people as fictional characters and just isolate them, the way that we no longer typecast people of color into very specific roles that are super stereotyped and shitty. I would really like it if we could stop typecasting people who survived things like this as the bad guys every single time. It's really awful. And I think we can do better.
Yeah, because it's the trauma that have made them the quote bad guys. Like, if she hadn't been abused, then she wouldn't have turned into a bad guy.
Exactly. And that's the message that you see over and over and over again in cinema and books and TV. It's just it's inescapable, right? It's inescapable. Now, I am reasonable. If you're covering a historic figure and this is a biographical fact, fine. But if you're writing fiction, just please stop doing it. Because this has been the thing that has really damaged me. And I don't think that it's only me that feels this way. Like, if you've been traumatized by something and you've come out the other side, all of the messaging in all of our stories as a society right now is that we're doomed to become sociopaths, or we're doomed to become greedy, or we're non-functioning. Like, it is so rare to see somebody, especially from Bela's specific background, represented as a heroic character.
Yeah, agree.
And that's my hot take on this episode. Sarah Gamble.
Is it her?
It's Sarah Gamble.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no,
So,
I
like,
agree.
I give her 10 points for the Frankenstein theme and the examination of men's power over women's bodies. But I deduct, like, 20 points for what happens to Bela. Rejected. No.
Yeah.
In my headcanon, she confesses what's happening and Dean and Sam save her. The end.
I think it's sad that we never saw Dean and Bella get it on.
I agree.
I was waiting for that. I thought that was going to happen at some point.
That would have been awesome. They have so much chemistry. Honestly, I was also low-key disappointed.
Yeah. And also, I got an accidental spoiler when I was looking on IMDb because, and I mean, it's not really a spoiler because the implication is that she is killed by hellhounds at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
But it's the final appearance of Lauren Cohen as Bella.
Yeah.
But I was hoping at the end, you know, when Dean's saying something about "I'll see you in hell," I was like, I hope that's actually a thing. Like, maybe he goes to hell and then meets her, and then they like
go.
Well, I was thinking more that they help each other try and get out or something.
Yeah.
But that I'm like, oh, obviously not.
Yeah. I would also just like to take this second to say that I really applaud her as an actress. She's so incredible. I don't think that anyone else could have brought this part to life the way that she did. She gave us a modern day femme fatale in a way that I feel like very few actresses are able to do to such a degree. Like, she is full old Hollywood, like, just amazing. I think she's very sympathetic. And she has a lot of depth, and I love her.
Yeah. Well, before this, I'd only ever seen her in The Walking Dead, and you haven't seen her in that, have you? Like, she's one of my favorite characters in The Walking Dead.
I've seen a little bit of it. I saw enough to go, ooh, zombies, no. And then I turned it off.
Yeah. I loved her character and like the growth her character goes through. Because she's like this very sheltered character to start with, and then she, you know, has to turn into this like badass to stay alive. And I didn't realize that she's in there's like a spin-off that has her and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And I haven't actually watched that yet, so
yeah,
I need to watch that now. But yeah, I hadn't seen that. That was I'd only seen her in that, and then this. I think she's a really good actress as well.
Yeah, she's epic. I would love to see her in more. I have seen some of the interview of her and Jeffrey Dean Morgan together for that show, because YouTube was like, you like these people, you like supernatural things. Watch this interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, cool. That's actually... They had really fun banter. It was really nice, and it made me kind of want to watch the show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might watch it at some point. There'll be me messaging Laura being like, "There's zombies. I am not okay."
I am not up to date with Walking Dead either. I sort of stopped watching it the second season that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in it. So like when Negan turns up, basically. I haven't really watched a lot since then, so I'm really behind, and I can't really watch the spin-off until I'm caught up, so maybe I need to catch up on Walking Dead.
Yeah. Anyway. That is a good idea.
Do you want me to do the synopsis? Have you got any more for the preamble?
No. Well, except for the ghost that we recorded. Okay, so guys, very quick context, and then we're going to move on to the actual episode, I promise. Okay, so Laura and I are recording. Nick is at home. Ruby, the cat, is outside and around. And what you need to know about my cat is if she knocks on the door, she sounds like a boxer hitting a bag. It's a very specific sound. She's really loud. It's like doo 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 doo. She just drums on the door with her paws. So it's a specific sound. Now Laura recorded this sound because we were recording when it happened. Somebody clearly knocked on the door so loudly.
It's like an actual knock.
Yeah.
Like
I thought Yeah. I thought it was Nick. So I went to go and look, and Nick thought it was me. And it was clearly
and the cat wasn't out there.
No, it was clearly coming from right here upstairs by our offices, of which there's no one there. Okay. Ruby wasn't there. So that's a ghost. So we definitely we haven't aired it, but we definitely have an EVP of a ghost just knocking on the door.
I think that was during the recording of Use in Bela, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was either when we recorded Use in Bela or Ghost Faces, but I think it was Use in Bela.
Yeah, I think it would have been really funny if it was Ghost Facers though. The ghost was like, "Yeah, I'm here. What?" So we have had people write in and say that they do want to hear a Laura Dream episode where she reads her dream journal and stuff. So I feel like we should chuck in the ghost EVP in that one and like pull some tarot cards and be like, "What's up, ghost?"
Oh yeah, we should totally pull the tarot cards. That was fun because we haven't done that since since Carly.
We're definitely going to do that. We're definitely going to investigate the shit out of this ghost because why are you knocking on my door? What do you want? What do you want to say?
Okay, shall I do the synopsis?
Mm-hmm.
This is season 3, episode 15. Time is on my side. The original air date for this episode was May 8th, 2008. Sam and Dean investigate what they think is a zombie case, but ends up being a series of gruesome organ thefts that lead them to Doc Benton, a 19th century doctor who has made himself immortal by harvesting organs from people.
Gross.
During this case, they are also trying to find Bela and the cult and a way to save Dean from his deal, which is now only a few weeks away from coming due. They get a call from Bobby who says he has a lead on Bela. Dean wants to follow this lead right away, whereas Sam wants to stay on the case as he hopes Benton's methods might save Dean, because his theory is they could make him immortal and unable to die, therefore creating a loophole in his deal. But Dean rejects this idea as he's unwilling to become a monster, and the brothers go their separate ways. Dean goes to confront Bela but finds that she has sold the cult, and Sam goes after Benton but is captured. Dean goes back to find Sam and manages to rescue him just in time. They capture and bury Benton alive so he can no longer harm people. During the ending of this episode, we find out that Bela made her own demonic deal to escape an abusive past, and her time has just run out. She goes to the motel where Sam and Dean are staying to kill them in a final attempt at getting out of her deal, but they've already left. She pleads with Dean to help her, but he refuses, and the episode ends with hellhounds finding her.
My first note on this episode says, an actor I like is playing a gross plastic surgeon. I'm glad he dies.
Who was the actor?
Kavan, I can't remember his last name, but he's the guy who gets killed in the first scene.
I didn't recognize either of them.
He's so charming and so cute in everything else that I've seen him play. I think I've seen him in Canadian dramas.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure he's in so many Canadian romantic dramas that I've watched. I'm like, oh, it's him. I like him so much. And then he comes out and it's supernatural and he's horrible. And I'm like, oh, die.
Yeah.
Obviously not the actor. He's great. But the character, I'm so glad that he had his entrails ripped out.
They're horrible. Like, yeah, they're just... Ugh. I just have two plastic surgeons leaving like a tennis club or something and being derogatory towards their female clients. Because there's a quote that says, some crabby old broad wants the works. And I wrote, nice, dickheads.
Yeah.
They part ways and one goes to his car and puts his kit in the boot. We see a man walk up behind him and push him in the boot and trap him. He screams for help. And I just wrote, I had no sympathy for him, to be honest.
Yep.
And then later he walks into a hospital. He's dripping blood everywhere and groaning in pain, clutching his stomach. He goes up to a nurse and she tells him to let her see what's happened. She reassures him there's nothing she hasn't seen. He says no, but she pulls his hands away and his guts all fall out. And then I put, at least that's what I assumed happened. And then she screams and I wrote, I bet she hadn't seen that before.
I wrote, and then his guts fall out. Lol. Feels like a metaphor for the beauty industry and its torture of women. Good job, Sarah. Good job. And then I wrote, she just screams and screams. Because it was like she's a slightly older woman. Not old, but like she's like older. And this guy comes in who's having his bitch and moan about like, oh no, I've got to make older ladies look better. And she's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
nothing I haven't seen before. And it just felt like exposing all of the things, like all the impossible standards for women. Like, in the Barbie movie where they have the rant and the cry, and every woman
I
ever
love that
who's
film.
seen that scene wants to cry during that speech because it's so
Yeah.
accurate. It's absolutely impossible to be a girl or a woman,
Yeah.
right? It's all of that. So, like, whenever he opens up his shirt and his guts fall out, I was like, A, this is cathartic for me, and B, that's what she's screaming about. That's how I felt about that.
Yeah. I was just like, sucks to be you.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be a dick to people.
Yep. You're gonna need a forklift to get that back up.
Ugh.
R.I.P. Because he said he was gonna need a forklift to get her bits back up, meaning his older lady client. And I was like, you probably need a forklift to get yourself up. Forklift of Viagra, sir.
Yeah.
Shut up. Yeah. So it was very cathartic. Like, he dies terribly, and it's awesome. And then we cut to Dean and Sam torturing a demon. My favorite part of this is when the demon's like, I don't know anything. And Dean's like, oh, you hear that, Sam? He doesn't know anything, because they're trying to find out who has Dean's contract so that they can kill them. End of story. Happy ending for everyone, right? And Dean goes, oh, you hear that, Sam? He doesn't know anything. And Sam's like, yeah, I heard. And he's smirking. It's like an evil Sam smirk. And I don't know why that's so sexy, but wow. Okay. And the demon says, I'm telling you the truth. And Dean says, oh, you are? My God. Then I owe you an apology. Allow me to make it up to you. And then he forces holy water down its mouth. And I was like, this is cool. That was amazing. It's such a tense back and forth scene. And basically, it builds up this ominous situation where he's like, oh, well, I'm way more scared of the demon who has your contract than anything that you could possibly ever do to me.
Yeah.
So Sam ends up exorcising the demon.
It also builds up the desperation that they are feeling, like they're running out of time.
Yeah. So it sets us up to feel so tense and so scared because they seem to be running out of every possible option.
And
Bela
panicking.
obviously has stolen the colt, right? So they're down to the wire, and they apparently have no way to do anything. And then the demon on his way out, when he's like, I'm not scared of you, but I'm scared of the demon that has your contract, says that he's going to see Dean in hell and make sure he has a real bad time of it. And Sam is like, what do you want me to do, Dean? Because he started exorcising the demon. And Dean's like, send him someplace he can't hurt anybody else. And so Sam finishes the exorcism, and you just kind of see Dean's face for a second thinking about it. It's like when a cop goes to prison, they're not going to have a good time. When Dean goes to hell, he's not going to have a good time.
Yeah. I do have a fun fact, though, about the exorcism. Also, when you were just saying about Sam being hot when he's evil or something, I agree, and I am looking forward to when he becomes evil, which is clearly going to happen at some point.
Imminent.
Because I think he's going to be really hot.
Yeah, he is.
And I tell you what, my turning point was during Mystery Spot when he's like just cold and like, well,
I'm
like
gonna take it down to the studs. That's what did it for me.
He was hot. Anyway,
and just
I had a fun fact that says, like during this exorcism, I've got a translation basically. And I'm not going to say the Latin because I can't, but what he's saying has been translated. Now, I don't know. I haven't fact checked this. This is just from IMDb. It says the Latin translates to, we exorcise you, every impure spirit, every incursion of the infernal adversary, every legion, every congregation, and diabolical sect.
Fun. Don't want those diabolical sects.
Yeah. And you know how you were saying, what's legio? I think that must be legion.
Yeah.
From this.
It would make sense for sure. Because he always says legio. And it's one of the phrases that really sticks out to me whenever I listen to him do an exorcism.
Yeah.
It is also really funny listening to Jared do it because his pronunciation is accented.
American?
Yeah. And it's unusual. Now, my Latin is by no means perfect, okay? I'll hold my hands up and say I wanted to learn Latin as a kid, but I am not rich, so I didn't get to do that.
No,
so
mine is non-existent.
Yeah. I just have like the tiniest, vaguest idea of how some things might be pronounced. Maybe. But I am willing to mispronounce a Latin chat with extreme confidence and make Laura think that we're about to get haunted.
I just enjoy it when he speaks Latin, to be honest.
That's
I
pretty
don't
awesome.
care what he's saying.
Not gonna lie, it is awesome. Like he does it very confidently.
I've liked this ever since Phantom Traveller. That was the first time we did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this hot?
It's powerful. And he's so commanding when he reads Latin.
Yeah,
and does the exorcisms.
Because he's like, he's exorcising demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. My literal note for that scene says "Sexy Sam Latin."
So the next they're in the motel now, aren't they? Sam is on the phone getting info about some fingerprints. Dean comes in and says he's buried the possessed guy. And then he asks about the phone call, and they discuss the guy with his stomach ripped out that we saw in the opening scene. Sam says it was actually his liver that fell out. And he found out that the victim's body was covered in bloody fingerprints that were not his, but from a guy who died in 1981. And then as Dean gets excited about zombies, basically.
Oh yeah, he says, "Really? So what are we talking? Walking Dead? Killing Dead?" He's such a cute nerd. And
also he must be referencing the comic books here because the show wasn't out.
Oh, amazing!
So that's cool.
That's
you
really
like
cool.
Yeah,
comic book nerds unite. So Sam says maybe, and Dean says zombies do like the other white meat. Huh. Speaking of, what do you care about zombies? And Sam's like, what do you mean? And Dean says, well, you've been on a soul-saving detail for months now, and we're 3 weeks out, and all of a sudden you're interested in some hot zombie action. I thought that line was so funny. He says hot zombie action. And I laughed so hard. And then Sam kind of explains his theory, which is that he thinks that there's more to it and that they should look into it and that it might be helpful for stuff that's going on with Dean.
Yeah. And then Dean's like, obviously I want to hunt zombies.
Yeah, Dean's always excited to hunt zombies.
I think I would be too.
I would not.
Right, next scene, I just have suits, morgue. Dean asks if there were teeth marks where the liver was ripped out, prompting the coroner to ask to see their badges. Coroner, oh, so you're cops and morons.
Okay, no, I love this scene so much. So he does look at them like they're absolutely insane. And Sam says, of course, sure. And he's like really charming. And they show their badges. And that's when he says, fine, you're cops and you're morons. Because at first he was like, are you even cops? Why are you asking me these questions, you weirdos? And then Dean is like, excuse me? No, we're very smart. And that killed me. And the coroner says the liver was not ripped out. It was removed surgically by someone who knew their way around a scalpel. Didn't you read my report? And Dean says, of course we did. Oh, it was riveting. It was like a real page turner, just delightful. It's like, Dean, who says what his line is not good?
Sarah.
And the coroner says, you done? And Dean says, I think so. The coroner says, please go away.
That was funny.
And for the next scene, I just wrote, interview, angry kidney dude.
Well, I have a fun fact about the coroner. So apparently he's been in Supernatural before, but I forgot to look this up. It says Terence Kelly, this is on IMDb, Terence Kelly, who plays the morgue doctor, played Daniel Elkins in the Series 1 episode Dead Man's Blood. I cannot remember that at all. And I forgot to look it up. I meant to, and I forgot.
He's the hunter that gets killed, I think.
Oh, then. Elkins does sound familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the hunter that gets killed off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's in it again.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So Sam and Dean are talking, and Dean is saying that what's happening sounds familiar to him. And Sam says it's because you've heard it before when you were a kid from Dad. Doc Benton, real life doctor, lived in New Hampshire, brilliant and obsessed with alchemy, especially how to live forever. So in 1816, he abandons his practice. And then Dean interrupts and says, right, yeah, nobody hears from him for like 20 years. And then all of a sudden people start showing up dead. And Sam says dead or missing an organ or the hand or some other kind of part. Parts. That was me. That was my interjection. Dean says, because whatever he was doing was actually working. He just kept on ticking. Parts would wear out. He'd replace them, but I thought Dad hunted him down and took his heart out. Sam says, yeah, I guess the doc must have plugged in a new one. And Dean says, all right, where's he doing the deed? And Sam says, according to this, Benton's picky about where he sets up his lab. He likes dense forest with access to a river or stream or some kind of fresh water. And Dean is eating a burger. And this is about to get very comical. I would also like you guys to know that I was eating my dinner when I was watching this episode, and that was a mistake. That was a terrible, terrible mistake.
I never learn. I said I don't like it when they don't learn, and I don't learn either.
No, none of us have learned. So Sam says, because that's where he likes to dump the bile and intestines and fecal matter. Dean looks totally disgusted and lowers his burger, gagging a little bit. Sam says, lost your appetite yet? Dean considers this, looking at the burger and then at Sam and then back at the burger. Dean to his burger. Oh, baby, I can't stay mad at you. Dean takes a huge bite, staring at Sam as he chews.
Doesn't he keep saying, like, dude, I'm eating?
Yeah, he does. Throughout the scene, earlier on, when they're talking, there's a lot of dude, I'm eating. And that was really, really funny.
Oh, there is a bit at the end of this scene as well, where Sam, I've got Sam in quotes, laughs, but I'm wondering if it was really an outtake and Jared was trying to make Jensen sick for real, because I can't remember what he says, but it's one of it might be the fecal matter bit at the end, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
But he laughs, it looks like it would have been maybe an outtake, it looks like it was him, not Sam, and I think that was funny.
I also have a fun fact, which is that I looked up the Doc Benton stuff, and this is real folklore.
Ugh, yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit more about it when we actually see him later on. But
cool.
It's very, like, what the show says is pretty accurate. I know there's a lot of variations of the story because it's like the Hookman lore. There's lots of different varieties of it. I have not seen the alchemy thing anywhere, but everything else is basically the same. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So then we cut to a scene where we're seeing joggers in the park. And I wrote, maybe I've just been conditioned by pink horror, but to start with, I thought the man who was attacked later was going to be the attacker and chase the woman that passed him. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to turn around and chase after that woman. Anyway.
Yeah.
The dude is jogging and we hear his heart rate monitor watch, which was really loud for some reason. And I know it's because the whole heart rate monitor has a moment in a minute, but it was weird and unnecessarily because they don't actually beep like heart rate monitors in hospitals, do they? Watches,
no.
But whatever. Anyway, He stops for a moment and we get the point of view of someone watching him. He checks his heart rate monitor and ties his shoes back up. Then he's chloroformed by someone and then we get a blackout. And then he wakes up tied to a table. We see his heart rate is at 76, which is like a normal resting heart rate. As he wakes, it bumps up to over 100 and continues rising as he realizes he's in a scary situation. He turns to see a jar full of maggots. And then the bad guy, Doc Benton, appears with a scalpel. And he has like a stitched up face. So he kind of looks patchwork or like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
And he shushes the man who is panicking and opens up his chest. Like he literally cracks his ribs and everything and pulls out his heart. And the guy is screaming.
It's gory.
Yeah. Although I think he would have actually passed out before then if that was real life.
Yeah.
His heart is taken out and his heart rate wanted to watch flatlines. Because that's also a thing that they do, apparently.
Yeah. Ta, ta, ta.
Also, sorry, in my initial notes, this is where I was like, this guy, I've seen him before. The bad guy. He's been in loads of things, but I could not place it. Well, was he in Buffy? Because I looked up on IMDb and I saw X-Files and Charmed, and he was in Charmed a lot. And I think it's that.
Yeah, he was in Charmed a lot.
And I was like, I feel like there's something else, but I never worked it out. But it must have been X-Files and Charmed. I didn't see Buffy on there.
So I didn't see Buffy listed, but he is definitely a bad guy in Buffy. Like, I am positive.
That would make more sense because I'm watching that at the moment.
Yeah. So, like Laura said, he looks disgusting and Frankenstein-like, and the reason for that is because of the folklore. So, I'm going to tell you the folklore, and then I'm also going to tell you something that may be true and is gross and weird. So I'm just going to dive into it. Let's get straight up gross and weird. Okay, so the Doc Benton story, often associated with Dartmouth College and Mount, pray for me, Mu Moosilauke. I don't know. Moosilauke? I don't know. Moosilauke, however you say that, is a legendary tale, not a factual account of a real person. The story has been passed down through generations of Dartmouth students and has evolved into a proper folklore legend. So, the Doc Benton story is considered a well known Dartmouth legend, a classic tale passed down during freshman trips and other gatherings. So, like when you have new freshmen and you're inducting them in, there's also ghost stories and scary stuff that happens sometimes on those induction tours. So, in this particular instance of this college, this is one of the stories that gets like told, which I love. Like, if you're not scaring new students, what are you doing? So, there are some sources that suggest a link to Thomas Benton, who was a real person who lived in Benton, New Hampshire, near the mountain where this took place. He supposedly studied medicine and returned to his hometown after this period of study. And that definitely gets part of the way that the story evolves. It's been embellished a lot over time, and each retelling adds variations and interpretations. So you can go on to links, but there is a local library run out of the college that has different files that they've collected. So whichever branch of the university is studying folklore, I'm not sure if they have a folklore department, they might, has
That's cool.
records of the Doc Benton tale. So one of the ones that I found says, the story goes that Thomas Benton was born in the mid-1700s in Benton, New Hampshire, a small hamlet located near the base of the mountain. I'm not going to try and pronounce that again, guys. After receiving his medical education at the University of Heidelberg, Benton practiced for some years in London and Boston, but returned to Benton to set up his own medical practice. It was following his return to Benton that the terrifying legend begins. Each telling of the story does bring different variations. So I've read some where it's children that go missing first, and then in other stories, people see him throwing a young girl's body off of a cliff. And later they realize that something like he must have taken parts of her. In other stories, it's animals that go missing first and then people. So there's all kinds of different modifications, and it depends on the narrator. But in deference to the tradition of storytelling, they choose to not give us the specific examples in their article, but they say that the legend of Doc Benton is seared forever into the minds of generations of Dartmouth first years, especially those who have spent time on and in the proximity of the mountain. So there is a whole attached file labeled Benton, Doc in Clinton Arrowwood's thesis entitled The Legend of Doc Benton. And then underneath it, they just say, you'll never forget it. So I have to say, the ones that I've read, so unbelievably creepy and gross. Like the one that really got to me was the one where it starts out being animals missing, and then they find pieces of the animals, and then kids start going missing, and then adults, and then they start finding.
So it's like escalated.
Yeah, like real serial killers do.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because it's weird to me that there's a real doctor that is name dropped, but they say that like he didn't do these things. I don't know, it's just odd. It's an odd one. Especially because some of the stories are very realistic sounding, like the escalation and everything, and then others less so, and it gets a bit weird. But it's just like, it's specific to the place where the real dude was from as well. So it definitely does give me a creepy vibe. Yeah. We could add it to the road trip and try and join one of the freshman tours and see what people say, but it's scary. But then I was like, if this is in this location, then why is the episode set here? So I found a connection between the two. So in Erie, where this is actually set, there was a General Mad Anthony Wayne blockhouse. And there's a ghost story attached to his death and burial. So basically, he gets killed, murdered, poisoned, actually, according to the Wikipedia article. And then his son goes to recover his body, but he'd been buried under this fort. So it's 15 years later. his son exhumes his body and stated that it was eerily well preserved. Like, to the point that he was scared of it, I guess. And that made me think of the whole Doc Benton thing, because he's like preserving himself and keeping himself perfect. And it was enough of a thing to make it into either urban legends or records, right? Then his son boils the flesh from the bones.
Why? Why would you do that?
And put the bones in his saddlebags to carry them east to bury them in their hometown of Radnor, Pennsylvania, and then reburied the flesh in Erie.
Why split up the bones and
Why is a
the
great
flesh?
question. Okay. The ghost is supposed to travel Route 322 once a year looking for the bones that were lost along the journey.
Well, yeah, you can't split up his bones from his flesh.
It's a weird choice. It's a real weird
sure way
choice.
to get haunted.
I know, right? So yeah, so I was just like, you have the idea of a patchwork man, weirdly good preservation, pieces going missing. And then you have the whole Doc Benton thing, where he's a gross serial killer who is Frankensteining himself to live forever. So I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense lore-wise.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you found the connection to the place as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we're at a motel again. Sam has found a map that shows some old hunting cabins because he's trying to find out where he might be, where Benton might be. Dean asks what they're waiting for, and then his phone rings, and it's Bobby saying he might have a lead about where Bela is. He says another hunter, Rufus Turner, has been approached by a woman who wants to buy some things from him. That he thinks it's Bela because she's like British.
Yeah.
Bobby tells Dean where he can find Rufus and tells him to take a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. And then Sam and Dean have a disagreement. I know it's a shocker for everyone, but they have a disagreement. Dean wants to drop everything and go after Bela and the cult. Sam thinks they should stay on the case and says that Bela probably doesn't have the cult anymore anyway, and this case will help save Dean because they could learn how to make him immortal. And then he says about the bad guy, that's what he's doing. He's replacing his parts once they wear out. And then they have an argument and Dean leaves. And I wrote in all caps, "Stop splitting up." Oh, Dean does call the bad guy Slicey McHackey at one point, which I thought was funny.
That is
stupid but funny.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was thinking about it and I was like, is it a plot hole? Because I feel like in order for this to actually work, they would both have to do it. It couldn't just be Dean, because they said that if Dean Welch's on the deal, so like if he becomes immortal and they can't collect him, that's Welching on the deal.
Which he points out.
Sam would also have to do it. And I just feel like,
I suppose they're both good.
Yeah. That's the only way that it works, right? Because
neither of them can die.
Yeah. But then also Hell House Hellhounds. And I feel like even if you could put yourself back together, if you get torn up into actual pieces by hellhounds, I'm not really sure that you'd be able to put yourself back together. So I just...
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or a demon can come along and bury them alive like they do to him at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, good points.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they split up. Dean goes off. He turns up at Rufus's house. There's loads of signs on his doors that basically telling him to bugger off. It's like, I wrote it down actually. It says, no solicitors, that means you. No asking for donations, no selling anything. And Dean rings the bell and knocks. A security camera turns to face him and we hear, "What?" over the intercom.
I would like you to know that my notes say that Dean is on Rufus's porch and Rufus hates people and tells Dean to fuck off, and that's fair. And Dean bribes Rufus with whiskey. Possibly he should have led with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dean says, "Hi, Rufus?" And Rufus says, "Yeah, even if I am, the question is still the same. What?" Dean goes, "I'm Dean Winchester. I'm a friend of Bobby Singer's." And Rufus is like, "So?" And Dean says, "You called him this morning?" And Rufus is like, "So?" Which, I mean, like, it's fair. Like, if I called someone and then some rando turned up on my porch and was like, "Oh, you called my friend," I'd be like, "So? What the fuck?
Yeah,
Why are you here on my porch?" Dean says, and then he tries to be charming and smiles at the camera. He says, "You told Bobby about a British chick who made contact with you?" And Rufus says, "And so?" And Dean says, "You know where she is?" And Rufus says, "Yeah." Dean says, "Great. Could you tell me where I could find her?" And Rufus says, "No."
Man of many words.
Yeah, and Dean to himself is like, "Course not." And then he says, "Look, Rufus, man." Rufus opens the door and is like, "Look, let me put something out to you. You are knocking at my door, so don't look man me. I'm not your man." And Dean says, "I'm sorry, sir." And Rufus says, "All right, let me tell you a little story. See, once upon a time, Bobby called me, asked me to call him if I got a whiff of this Bella Talbot. I got a whiff. I called. The end." Dean says, "Okay, yeah, if you could just tell me where she is, I mean, that would be great." Rufus says, "Dean Winchester, right?" He says, "Yeah." "Dean, do I look like I'm here to help you?" Dean says, "I'm gonna say no." Rufus says, "Then get the hell off my property." And Dean says, "All right, yeah, fair enough. I got one more question for you, though. See, I got this bottle of scotch, and is this considered good?" And then Rufus's eyes light up like it's the 4th of July and Christmas. And they go inside, and Rufus is smiling.
Like you say, he should have just led with the whiskey.
Yeah, I feel like I would have held it out to the camera and been like, "Yo,
Yeah, I've got some whiskey for you. I need you to help me.
Whiskey, information."
Yeah.
You know?
Uh,
Oh, dear. I feel like from the signs on the front porch, you can gauge what kind of person Rufus is.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Bobby even tells him.
Hmm.
Honestly, Dean has no common sense. He's pretty,
No.
though, so we'll allow it. So, in the next scene, Dean and Rufus are sitting at a table with glasses in front of them, and the bottle's already 3/4 empty, so they're kind of a little tipsy. And Dean is very much encouraging this. Like, he keeps going, "Bottoms up." Rufus says that this is his favorite drink, and it's the nectar of the gods. And Dean says that it's a nice change, and most of his whiskey comes from a plastic jug. And I was like, what the hell kind of whiskey comes in plastic? Where even the like all night I'm here for
Yeah.
alcoholic stuff. I'm not sure it comes in plastic. I don't know.
I didn't get that either.
Oh. So Rufus is saying that Bella wanted to buy some things and that it was going to take him some time to put them all together. And Dean asks where she is. And Rufus looks at Dean like really closely and says, "Can I ask you something?" And Dean says, "Sure." And then Rufus says, "You got 3 weeks left. Why are you wasting your time chasing after some skinny, stuck-up English girl?" And Dean's suspicious, and he's like, "How do you know?" And Rufus says, "Because I know things. I know a lot of things about a lot of people." And I'm like, they replaced Ash with Rufus. And Dean says, "Is that so?" And he says, "I know ain't no pea shooter gonna save you," meaning the cult's not gonna help him.
Mm.
And Rufus says, "'Cause that's a job, kid. Even if you manage to scrape out of this one, there's just gonna be something else down the road. Folks like us, there ain't no happy ending. We all got it coming." And Dean says, "Well, ain't you a bucket of sunshine?" And Rufus says, "I'm what you've got to look forward to if you survive." And then he kind of smirks and he says, "But you won't?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Great. Thank you."
That was mean. I thought he was mean there.
Yeah.
Also, I have a question. He knows a lot about Dean, and I know he can find out a lot of stuff from like fingerprints and whatnot,
Yeah.
but he hasn't had time to chat with Dean yet. So how does he know he has 3 weeks left? And I wrote, is he psychic? Is he a fire baby?
My assumption is that Bobby has reached out to Rufus and given him the 411 and said, "We need all the information that you have so we can try to figure out which demon has this contract."
Okay.
Because he's like Hunter 411. He's who you call for information about anything and everything. So I think it has to be Bobby because him and Bobby's are friends and they go way back. And Bobby must have been reaching out to all of his contacts to try to save Dean because Dean's his kid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's mean though still.
He is mean and I love it. Like he's a serious Scrooge and I am here for that energy. I think he's
I
great.
thought it was funny just like when he's like, so.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny in that scene. But then
Yeah, that
this
was
bit
great.
when he's like,
"You're gonna die."
yeah, I was like, that's a bit uncomfortable.
That was less than helpful.
Like, but they are drunk, I suppose, so like whatever.
Yeah, he's drunk and I think he has no filter. And I think that he thinks that they're all going to die horribly because that's what happens to hunters. I think that's where he's coming from. I don't think he's specifically like, "Shut up, son, you're going to die." I think he's like, nothing ends well. If this is your job, you're going to die ugly.
Yeah.
Which, still not helpful. I'm not saying that it's helpful or good. I just think that's the vibe.
During this time, we get just like a little cutscene where Sam is in the woods going to find the hunting cabins, and then we go back to Rufus and Dean.
Mm-hmm.
He basically tells Dean where Bella is staying and her room number. He knows all of this, and tells him to watch his back because there are things you don't know about her.
Mm-hmm. He says that she is at the Hotel Canaan, room number 39. And I thought that was interesting because Canaan is a biblical reference. And I
Mhm.
was like, I wonder if the 39 means anything. And when I Googled it, it references the curse of Canaan in the Bible, which really
Ah.
leans into the interpretation that Bella's father was just a monster. Because there's a biblical curse that has to do with things that are sort of similar to Bella's case. So it is an interesting little Easter egg when you know what that is. Um, I also Googled when Rufus tells Dean that human ears are as unique as fingerprints. And so that's how he finds out the information on Bella. I looked that up because I was like, is that real? And
Ah.
it is, it turns out.
Wait, is it a British thing though? Because I wrote, I've never heard about this, and apparently the British are all over it. And I went, okay.
So let me see if it says.
Also, with the ear thing, we just have to say the quote that where Reaper says, "Did you do her ear?" And Dean says, "Hey man, I'll try anything once, but I don't know. That sounds uncomfortable." Because I thought that was funny.
Yep. They're not accepted as reliable evidence in UK courts. Scientific evidence shows that ear shape changes depending on factors like temperature and pressure, making ear print identification unreliable. The Telegraph reported that ear print evidence has been discredited, leading to overturned convictions and cases being thrown out of court.
Hmm.
Okay, so my theory is that at one point it was admissible, and then they overturned it and said no, and then it called into question stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that at one point it was. Obviously, this aired several years ago. So when this came out, it was probably accurate, and now it's not anymore.
So was that just in Britain then?
I don't know.
That's so weird. I've literally never heard of it. I mean, there's loads of things that were once used but aren't used anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, off the top of my head, like blood splatter evidence isn't really like
Mm.
you can talk about it, but they're not going to tell the jury to be like, right, take this for gospel.
Yeah, laws change all the time.
Yeah.
It's all a very malleable thing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was
But
interesting
yeah,
that
it is interesting.
our ears are so unique. It even said in the overview that I saw that identical twins still have unique ear
Hmm.
shapes, and that it's sometimes actually more unique than a fingerprint. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently Rufus has used a picture of Bella's ear from the security camera, and he's got
Yeah.
a whole big file on her now, and he gives that to Dean, and Dean starts reading it and looks shocked.
Yep. He does.
Shooketh.
He does look shooketh.
So then Sam goes to a cabin and starts searching it. He finds a notebook that I assume he thinks holds the immortality information that he needs, and he swipes it. And then he goes into the basement or the cellar. I don't know what it would be in a cabin. And finds the guy who had his heart ripped out of his chest, dead on a
Pretty
gurney.
gross.
He checks his pulse, which was a little unnecessary because he was
Why?
literally blue.
Yeah.
But I guess it's good that he checked though.
We
And
hate to
then
try.
I had a side note saying Jared going into the basement was hilarious because he's so tall and he had to fold himself to get through the hatch and down the stairs. And then he finds a woman who's still alive but has maggots all over a wound on her arm, which was rank. He goes to touch her and she wakes up. And then he tries to calm her down, saying he's there to help her. But then the doctor bad guy opens the door upstairs and the woman starts crying and he hears her. So he comes down to investigate. But when he does, Sam and the woman are gone and there's an open window. And then we cut to Sam carrying the woman out to his car, which was hot. But
It is hot.
as they get in the car, the doctor breaks the glass and hits Sam's head on the steering wheel. Sam manages to back up a bit, though, making the doctor let go, and then he runs him over and drives off. But this does absolutely nothing because the doctor gets up immediately. Although his neck does look snapped, he straightens it up, which was also gross. And then one of his eyes starts bleeding, and I wrote, "Oh no, he's going to need a new eye now." Ew.
She knew things were coming up. Foreshadowing. This whole sequence is so gross and so scary. I was actually scared watching it. Like actually scared. I was not live left loving.
The bad guy is really good. Like the actor is really good at being the bad guy.
He's an incredible actor. He's very
really scary.
believable, which is great because And I feel like it'd be really easy to go over the top with this character, but he's so
Yeah.
subtle and makes it so fucking real and so scary. The effects as well are really realistic. I'm pretty sure those were practical maggots. Like, I'm pretty sure they had something built in and those
They
were
did look
actually just
real.
real maggots because they look so real.
Ugh.
Disgusting. Her arm is open in a really brutal, gory way, so it's pretty clear that
Mhm.
he's been extracting like a tendon or something that he must have needed to replace. And it's absolutely crawling with maggots, like just alive with it. And it's horrible. And then when Sam's wrapping her arm up, she's like trying not to scream because she's in so much pain and there's maggots everywhere again. And it is horrible. Then Sam's
Yeah.
carrying her out and it's so tense because you don't think they're going to get away. Then Benton smashes through the window and you think, oh, fuck, he's going to get Sam and the girl. And that's horrible. But then Sam manages to like just power through and get away, which is amazing. And you're so happy. And then when you see him get up again after he's been like Sam runs him down and you're like, yes. He gets up again and just corrects his broken neck. You go,
Yeah.
it's doing too many things. The horror, 10 out of 10. The gore, 10 out of
Yeah.
10. It's so disgusting and so realistic. Like, this is actually such a scary episode.
Yeah, it was definitely scarier than some of the other ones in this season so far. Probably the
For
scariest,
sure.
actually.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is up there with Bloody Mary for me.
So yeah, nothing will ever come close to Bloody Mary for me. Well, never say never, but there's 15 seasons after all. Yeah, that one still freaked me out the most.
I would say
This is
Bloody
scary,
Mary
though.
is still number 1, but I think this one's probably my number 2 for really scary episodes. Because, ew. So we then cut to Bella's hotel room. She walks in and she goes to close the door behind her, but Dean pushes her back against the. This is hot. Dean
Yeah,
pushes her back
I thought
against the
that
door,
too.
lays his arm across her throat, and points his gun at her face. Right? And when he pushes her against the door, it looks sexual. It doesn't look like
Mhm.
I'm going to shoot you in the face. It looks like he's flirting with her.
Yeah, I agree.
Dean says, "Where's the Colt?" And Bella says, "Dean." And Dean says, "No extra words." And Bella says, "It's long gone across the world by now." And Dean says, "You're lying." And then he grabs her bag from her hand to look inside it. And she says, "I'll call the buyer. Speak Farsi?" Dean grabs her around the waist, pulling her against him. Bella says, "What the hell are you?" Again, this is very flirtatious. And Dean frisks her, finds the gun and holds it up to her to be like, and then he says, "Don't flatter yourself." So then he uses the point of his gun to snap on the room lights and then points it at her again. And he says, "Don't move." He starts searching the room, tossing like everything. And Bella starts sort of shifting towards the door
Mhm.
subtly, but definitely is making a move. And she says, "I told you I don't have it." And Dean says, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to take your word for it." So he turns his back and Bella slides along the wall towards the door. And then boom, he shoots at the door directly beside her head. She freezes. Dean says, "Don't move."
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did no one hear that in this hotel? It looked like a kind of fancy hotel from what we saw from before, and Bella wouldn't
Yeah.
stay in like a dive, would she?
No.
No one heard this gunshot? No one comes to help? Okay.
No, nobody comes to help. They're minding their business. They don't care. It is a bit of a flag. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like in a fancy hotel, like in some of the Fleabag places they stay, people are gonna mind their business.
Like, oh, whatever.
But in a really fancy hotel like that, I feel
Yeah.
like in a little bit of time the cops are gonna turn up, you know?
Also, there was like a huge, well, not huge, but a sizable hole in the door. And I remember thinking when I watched it the first time, I was like, what if someone had been walking in the corridor?
Yeah. They're dead now. R.I.P.
Like, be more careful, Dean.
Dean just killed an innocent bystander. Yeah, so Bella says that the Colt's gone, and then she says, "Get on a plane if you must track down the buyer. You might catch up to him eventually." So Dean finishes searching and turns back to Bella and is pointing the gun at her head, and she says, "Are you going to kill me?" And he says, "Oh yeah." And she says, "You're not the cold-blooded type." And Dean says, "You mean like you? That's true. See, I couldn't imagine killing my parents." And Bella's shocked, but she tries to sort of pull herself together and says, "I don't know what you're talking." And Dean says, "Yes, you do. You were what, 14? Folks died in some shady car accident. Police suspected a slashed brake line. but it was all too crispy to tell. Cut to little Bella. Oh, I'm sorry, Abby inheriting millions. And she looks traumatized. And she says, how did you even? And Dean says it doesn't matter. And then we see a flashback. Trigger warning, this is a gross flashback. So young Abby is sitting on her bed crying. A man slowly walks into the room and turns to close the door. She looks terrified. The implication is that she's being abused by her father. So Bella, back in the present moment, says, they were lovely people, and I killed them, and I got rich. I can't be bothered to give a damn, just like I don't care what happens to you, which is her mask. Obviously, it's not who she really is, but it's the mask that she sews to the world, because she's not going to tell people what happened to her.
No.
Because who's going to volunteer that information to strangers? No one. It's horrible. So that her story is so sad.
Yeah, didn't we have one of the previous episodes? We had there was something said about her backstory, but not really.
Yeah. So Dean pushes her roughly against the door with his arm across her throat again, and this strand of woven herbs is dislodged from the ledge above and starts inching its way out. Dean's saying, you make me sick, and Bella says, likewise. Dean takes a step back again and points his gun at her head, smirking. She stares back and then closes her eyes. Dean is distracted and looks up, seeing the herbs hanging over the ledge. He looks back at her, thinking. Bella opens her eyes as Dean drops the gun, and he says, you're not worth it. Dean drags her to one side and leaves. Bella lifts her hand, which now has a scrap of paper in it. She looks at it, and it's a motel receipt that says the motel that Sam and Dean are staying in. Yeah. She calls someone on her phone and says, it worked, he found me. No, Sam wasn't with him, but I know where they are. While Dean is driving back, Sam calls him. Yeah, and tells him that the doc is a scientist and the formula might be the answer. Dean says he couldn't kill Bella or get the Colt back. Sam then gets snatched up.
Yeah, right. Before, at the beginning of this, he's sitting on the bed with an open window. And it's open because the curtains are blowing. And I wrote down in my notes, I don't like that Sam is sat in front of an open window. Is someone going to grab him? And then later, yes, but it wasn't from the window.
You would think that Sam, who's been kidnapped out of at least 3 hotels by now, would be like, I should shut things and lock them.
Yeah. But we know that they don't learn from their mistakes, so...
No, they do not. So basically what happens is this arm comes from nowhere. While Sam is talking to Dean, he says, well, I mean, look, we're not in the clear yet. There are still things that I don't get. And so the arm comes from behind Sam and covers his mouth with a rag, like a chloroform rag. Sam drops the phone and we see that it's Doc Benton.
Uh-oh. And then we get a scene that you can describe, because if I try and describe it, I'm going to throw up.
So Sam is strapped to an operating table inside Doc Benton's cabin, and his eyes are being held forcibly open, top and bottom lids, with surgical tape.
Yeah.
And that's real lid tape. So his eyes are really taped open. And fun fact, because I watch Corridor Crew, somebody sent this in as an example of bad CGI, and they looked at it and they said, no, this is amazing CGI. We love it.
What do they think of CGI?
So there's the part where the melon baller thing starts going into Sam's eye. Obviously, they didn't really do that. So they use CGI to do it. And it's really interesting. Corridor Crew break down exactly how they did it, because it's a mixture of a practical effect and then CGI. So literally every single thing is real except for the eye. The eye has been comped, and it's a video of a real eye moving around that they've been comped over his face. So the melon baller is real, except for one small second of it when it starts going into the eye. And that part is the only part that's really CGI, and everything else is practical. And they said, no, this is great. It looks good. Ugh. And then they're like, wait, how old was this? And they're like, wow, that's really impressive.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I did have some notes on the scene, and all I wrote was, Jared, stop moving your eyes around like that. It's gross, because he keeps moving his eyes around. It's horrible. And then I wrote, ew, no, eye surgery. And then I wrote, ew, not an eye scoop.
Amazing. So Doc Benton says, you can relax. It's all going to be okay. Ain't nothing going to happen here that you need to worry about, Sammy. Your chances of coming out of this procedure alive, very, very high. Sam says, how do you know my name? And Doc Benton says, "Oh, I know. You think I'm some kind of a monster, don't you? Well, I gotta tell you, I've never done one thing that I did not have to do. This whole eternal life thing is very high maintenance. If something goes bad, like my eyes here, you gotta replace them. And sometimes things get damaged, like when your father cut out my heart. Now that was very inconvenient. So I'm sure that you can understand all the joy I felt when I read all about myself here in his journal. Kind of makes this whole thing just feel like some kind of family reunion, don't it? Well, I guess it's about time that we get this thing started." So then he brings the scoop
No.
right, like, above
Mm-mm.
Sam's eye,
Mm-mm.
okay? And when I say above, I mean, like, it's like going into Sam's eyeball. Like, he is, like, a second away from getting his eyeball scooped out of his head, okay?
Yeah.
But then these shots ring out, and you see that Doc Benton is shot from behind, and then he turns to see Dean, and Doc Benton says, "Shoot all you want." And then he starts going after Dean, all Living Dead style. And Dean shoots him twice more. And then Doc Benton throws Dean into the wall and he falls to the ground. Benton approaches again, leaning down. Dean plunges a knife into Benton's chest. And Benton's laughing. He says, "A knife? What part of immortality do you not understand? Pity about the heart, though. It was a brand new one." And Dean says, "Good. It should be pumping nice and strong." And then he holds up this bottle of chloroform. And he says, "Sending this stuff throughout your whole body. See, I picked up your little bottle upstairs and dipped the knife in it." And then Benton looks really horrified before he collapses.
Before this bit, before he starts panicking, I thought he was really, really creepy, and I think it's because he's so calm.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of his creepiness.
It's
But then he does, yeah, start panicking when the chloroform. So
yeah.
he's immortal, but chloroform will not kill him, I guess. But
It'll knock him out.
yeah, still okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like that's a little bit of a plot hole because why? You know, why? Why does it work? How does it work? We don't know. I understand that if he's science, if the formula itself is science, theoretically, he's just a human being where his parts are decaying and he can surgically replace them. So I guess in a way the chloroform makes sense, but also he has no pain receptors. And he
Yeah.
can get up from his neck being broken and his heart being stabbed. So why does the chloroform affect him that way? I don't know. It just
Mm,
feels convenient. You
yeah.
know,
I think that's
there's
why. But when I noticed it was convenient.
there's not a real explanation for it that's ever given. Dean just figures it out and it just works. So I don't
Mm.
know. But it is funny in the next scene because he wakes up and he's tied into this, like, I don't know what it's supposed to be. Is it like an old refrigerator or what? I don't know what it is. It's like some kind of locker type situation.
Oh, when they
Um,
bury him, I thought it was a fridge. So yeah,
yeah,
I
like
just
a
thought that he was on the
fridge.
table that Sam was on at this stage. But so
Yeah.
you paid more attention than I did.
So Dean says, "Hi, Doc, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey." And Benton starts begging. And Dean's like, "What? You've been killing poor bastards for over 150 years and now you got a request? Shut up." Benton says, "You don't understand. I can help you. I know what you need." And Dean says, "We might have to cut him up into the little bits. You know, this immortality thing is a bitch." And Benton's still begging. He says, "I can read the formula for you. You know, immortality, forever young, never die." Sam's like, "Dean." Dean's like, "Sam." Sam walks out of the room being like, "You need to follow me." Dean goes,
No,
"What?"
right. They literally go about 2 feet away from the doctor with a curtain in between them. So what was the point? They could have just spoken over him.
Just
Because
drama.
sounds like, "Come on, I want to speak to you privately," kind of thing, and then he could
Yeah.
literally hear everything they're saying. But
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. Dean says, "What?" Sam says, "I mean, we're talking hell in 3 weeks or needing a new pancreas in like a half a century." Dean says, "Well, you know, you can't exactly get that at the Quickie Mart," which is funny because Simpsons. Sam says, "It's not perfect, but it buys us more time to think of something better. We just need time, Dean. I mean, please, just think about it." And Dean says, "No." And they have an argument where Sam's like, "Don't you want to live?" But I feel like the most important thing is Dean's line here. He says, "To me, it is okay. It's black and white. Human, not human." And then he walks back to stand in front of
Mhm.
Doc Benton and he says, "See, what the doc is a freaking monster. I can't do it. I would rather go to hell."
Yeah. I mean, he has always said that, basically.
Yeah.
You know, he's very anti anyone being a monster.
Yep. Um,
So yeah, that makes sense.
It was just it read as A, it makes sense to his character, and B, it's very heroic. Because like this
Yeah.
is a solution for him if he was selfish. Like if he was willing to sacrifice other people,
Yeah.
it could be
Although,
an
like we
answer.
said earlier, he says, like, if he's getting out of it, then Sam would die anyway. So
Yeah.
he doesn't want to risk. I think that's part of it. I don't think he wants to risk putting
Mhm.
Sam in danger again, because that's the whole point of his deal.
Yeah. And Dean's whole operating mechanism is protect Sam.
Yeah.
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 So they strap the duck down in some kind of old abandoned 1950s fridge situation with the journal,
Yeah.
his journal inside, and bury him screaming alive somewhere really random and very deep where no one will ever find him. And I was like, that's pretty funny. That's entertaining.
Yeah.
And then we cut to back at their hotel and we see Bella walking down the hallway. She picks the lock on the door and takes a gun out of her jacket and enters really quietly. She raises the gun and puts 2 bullets in the bodies lying under the covers on each bed and then moves closer, flicking on a bedside lamp. The clock beside it says 11:56 p.m. because we know that the monsters come out at midnight. So Bella pulls back the covers to find sex dolls on each bed.
Question.
Yeah.
Where did they get these from? And why? And do we want to know?
I blame Dean.
Well, yeah. But
I have no answers.
hopefully they were just bought for this purpose.
Yeah. And they're not carrying
Not for
around.
his personal collection.
Yeah.
Because
So the phone rings and Bella picks up and Dean says, "Hiya, Bella. There's a fun fact you may not know. I felt your hand in my pocket when you swiped that motel receipt." Bella says, "You don't understand." Dean's in the car with Sam and he says, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I understand perfectly. See, I noticed something interesting in your hotel room, something tucked above the door, an herb, devil's shoestring." Because he's a botanist again now, Laura. He says, "There's only one use for that, holding hellhounds at bay. So you know what I did? I went back and I took another look at your folks' obit. Turns out they died 10 years ago today. You didn't kill them. A demon did your dirty work. You made that deal, didn't you, Bella? And it's come due." And then we see a flashback of Bella on a swing, and there's a little girl sitting next to her who is Lilith.
Creepy Charlotte.
Yep. And she says, "I can take care of him for you, and it won't even cost you anything for 10 whole years." And then her eyes flash red and then go back to normal. And then we come back to the present moment. And Dean's saying, "Is that why you stole the Colt? Huh? Trying to wiggle out of your deal? Our gun for your soul?" And Bella says, "Yes." And Dean says, "But stealing the Colt wasn't quite enough, I'm guessing." And she says, "They changed the deal. They wanted me to kill Sam." So we're supposed to believe that Bella would assassinate Sam. Obviously, she would also kill Dean because, like we've pointed out before,
Yeah.
she's not stupid. She knows that if she's going to kill Sam, she has to kill Dean at the same time. It's the only way you survive that. Rejected from me personally because I don't think that tracks with her character at all. But okay,
No.
Sarah Gamble.
Although I suppose like maybe the desperation because it's literally 4 minutes before she's going to die. But yeah, I know, I agree with you.
No, I think that Bella's super intelligent and also talks to dead people and has witchy stuff going on. I really feel like she would have gone to Sam and Dean and said, "I have a problem," because she literally did it before with the fucking ghost ship and was like, "I'm gonna die if you don't save me. Please save me."
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. I don't think she would have stolen the Colt. I think she would have just said, "Help me."
I think Dean's a bit of a dick because, like, she's crying, she's desperate, and he's asking for help. But then I do think what he says is true, that they would have helped her if she'd asked them for help rather than just going to kill them. But I can also see why Bella wouldn't ask them for help, because last time she tried to like make peace with them,
help.
Dean shut her down.
Yeah, and he told her, "I don't care if you have nowhere to go at 2 a.m. Get out. You're a bitch,"
exactly.
basically.
Yeah,
He's
so I can see why she wouldn't.
Horrible to her in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it sets that up to be true. And then Dean again, this is the other thing. I don't think Dean is Dean in this part of the dialogue, and I don't think Bella is Bella. Like I think this is a misread of the characters. Dean says, "Really? Wow, Demon's untrustworthy? Shocker. That's a kind of a tight deadline too. What time is it? Well, look at that, almost midnight." And Bella's crying, saying, "I need help." And when you know what she went through, like, because I think we're supposed to believe that Dean doesn't know why she did what she did. And it's just an unknown, and it's just a tragedy. But it's just it does not sit right with me at all. So Dean says, "Sweetheart, we are weeks past help." And she says, "I know I don't deserve it." Dean says, "You know what? You're right, you don't. But you know what the bitch of the bunch is? If you would have just come to us sooner and asked for help, we probably could have taken the Colt and saved you." Bela says, "I know, and saved yourself. I know about your deal, Dean." So this is such a huge red flag for me. Because it's like, I understand that they were mean to each other and they fight, but like they do that shit all the time too. And I
Yeah.
do think he really hurt her, and I do think that it was over the top and he shouldn't have done it. But to this extent that they're all going to die stupidly because of it, no. That just doesn't make sense. Like they're all too smart.
The only way I can kind of maybe excuse it in my head is they're all just acting out of desperation, aren't they? Because they're literally like, she's about to die and he's got like 3 weeks left. But I feel like, I don't know. I do, again, I think they would have helped her if it wasn't like 4 minutes before then they weren't actually there. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, actually, I have a question before we move on. So the little girl was Lilith. So is Lilith, like, I don't understand this. This was a bit of a flag for me as well, I think, or it was just convenient because is Lilith just lying to get to Sam, or does she actually hold all the deals? Because Bella's like she's the one who holds all the deals, like all the demon deals ever. And I was like, that seems weird or just convenient.
I never questioned it because in the lore, Lilith is the mother of all demons. So I assume that all of the crossroad demons are like subservient to her in this world. Because I just didn't think about it. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because Lilith would be in charge of like everything and probably second only to Lucifer.
Okay.
If second at all. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how my brain took it in. But I see what you're saying. So yeah, Bella reveals that it's Lilith, and then Dean asks, "Why are you telling me this? Because it can't help you." And Bella says, "Because just maybe you can kill the bitch." And Dean says, "I'll see you in hell." And then he hangs up.
That was creepy, actually, when he says that.
Yeah, it's horrible. And then she sits on the bed listening to the dial tone. She takes a deep breath, and it turns over to midnight. And then we hear the hellhounds start coming to attack her and drag her to hell. And then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, I did write in my notes here. I think I said it in the preamble, but actually that would be a cool episode if they're both in hell together. And I wonder if that does actually happen. But no. Mm-hmm. And then so we do assume that she is killed at the end of this, right? Because we hear the hellhounds, and then we hear like a growl that sounds really close. So is she supposed to have died now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where I'm gonna read you guys this summary of my feelings. So the other part, this is my Bella rant, right? It's pretty brief, so it's not going to take too long. This was from Reddit, and it was written by Sympathy for Revenge, because this person says everything that I wanted to say so well. So they say, Bella Talbot is the most complex female character the show ever had, and here's why. I know she's one of the most hated characters on the show, but when you take a step back and actually look at her story in hindsight, I know, I never hated her. But she is. She actually is incredibly nuanced and tragic. A 14-year-old girl suffering sexual abuse at the hands of her own father is approached by a demon. I can take care of them, and it won't cost you anything, the redhead girl promises. Not for 10 whole years. Do you know how hopeless you would have to be to strike such a deal? Flash forward a decade and meet the clever, self-serving thief who goes by so many different names and has friends in high places. We mostly only see her through the eyes of the Winchesters, but it's clear from the get-go that there's more to her. One of the more interesting narrative purposes of her character is how it parallels with Dean in season 3. I've seen people call her a more posh version of Dean with tits, and they're not too far off. Even the characters themselves seem to recognize this, as if they're staring into a mirror and hate what they see. When Dean calls her damaged, she just smiles like a cat and says, takes one to know one. And when she tells him, we're all going to hell, Dean, might as well enjoy the ride, he can't help but agree, sharing the same nihilistic and hedonistic nature. Dean and Bella are both made up of false bravado and performative fearlessness in the face of certain doom. They know the clock is ticking, can almost feel the hellfire on their trail, but still won't allow themselves any vulnerability before it's already too late. It's this stubbornness that ultimately dooms Bella as she refuses to ask for help. But then again, can you really blame her? When Sam and Dean learned of her past, they showed her nothing but disdain. They probably would have been more empathetic if they'd known her circumstances, but Bella has no reason to trust them. She has no reason to trust anyone, and anyone is in all caps, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
The people who were supposed to protect and care for her were the ones who hurt her the most. In her own words, you wouldn't understand. No one did. With characters like this, it's easy to fall into cliches and stereotypes, but Bella is something else entirely. Not a victim, but a survivor. And her ruthlessness goes to show what it takes to survive when you have absolutely no one to rely on. No family, no friends, no romantic partner. The only person or connection that we know she has is a cat. She is the unspoken tragedy of SPN, with no loved ones to mourn her death and no angels to rescue her from hell. Ideally, I would have loved to see her return as a demon, but Lauren Cohen was probably too busy for that, and I wouldn't want anyone else to play Bella. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, because I mean, she could have told Sam and Dean the reason why she had her parents killed, but like you say, she has no reason to trust them.
Mm-mm.
They've shown that they don't really care lots of times. So yeah.
When you see the way that Dean's responses are written to her, and the way that he acts around her, and the things that he says to her and about women, his general attitude towards women, from what she has seen, that's not the person that you go to and say, my dad abused me in a really bad way. That's the most insanely vulnerable thing that a person could do. You're not going to do that with Dean Winchester in the way that he has been written. Right? Headcanon, yeah, it could totally work. And he would be the most protective, sweetest angel ever. But in the way that they've written him in the show for these particular sequences, Bella has no choice.
No. He's not been very sympathetic to her at all, even though he is usually to other women.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not been to her. He's always said that she disgusts him and all those kinds of things. So she's like, well, not going to tell him, am I?
Yeah. And so, like, I think that they're right. I think she is the most tragic character. I also think she's the most tragically underused character. Because if they had just gone in a little bit of a different direction, if they had just let these characters come together, it would have been amazing. And I think the reason why they did this, and it made, in my opinion, made a mistake, is because if they had joined together with the cult, then they could have figured it out, and then they would have to think of a different season finale, like a different big bad situation. Because I think that they thought that with Bella's competency and badassery and how much of a skillful hunter she is, then you have Bobby also, Rufus, who now knows everything and is the wisdom of God or whatever, and then you have Dean and Sam all together. Like, it becomes very difficult to up the ante enough if all those characters could work together against a force of evil to save, Dean.
Yeah.
Or
they would have written
to
themselves
defeat
into a
the
corner.
demon. Yeah. I think that they didn't understand how to move forward with the storyline with her still in it and not paint themselves into a corner where it wouldn't be believable. Like,
yeah. Agreed.
So I think that's why and I think it's such a massive disservice to her character. I think
why they
Bella
did the dirty.
Bella. They did her so dirty, and she got so shafted. And that's I have a lot of rants for Supernatural. This is second only to one that I can't say now because it's spoilers, but it has to do with the treatment of another female character with red hair. Okay, and you guys know who I'm talking about. And the rants that I will unleash when we get there.
We've only got one episode left. I kind of, I'm not as excited about the end of the season as I have been about 1 and 2, because I kind of, I know obviously it's going to be about Dean's deal ending and probably going to hell, but he must get out of it somehow because he's in future seasons. So it's like, I know that it's not going to be, oh, he's dead forever kind of thing. So I kind of feel like it's not as, I haven't got like a cliffhanger, but then maybe there will be at the end of the next episode, I'll be like, oh, that was so exciting.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what your reaction is going to be. I'm also curious to see what my reaction is going to be because I think the ones that stand out the most to me are probably the end of season 1 cliffhanger and then the way that season 5 ends, the last episode of season 5. Because that was Kripke's vision for the end of the show.
Yeah.
That was like the original endgame plan. And it's done really profoundly and really beautifully. And I think it's one of the most emotive episodes of Supernatural, full stop. It lives rent-free in my head at all times.
Yeah.
So
I remember you saying in the past that you used to be in the camp of, well, you still think it would have been perfect for it to end there, but then you've grown to like all the other seasons as well.
Yeah, so it's like if they'd ended in season 5, it would be flawless, in my opinion. It would be perfect. But if they'd ended in season 5, there are a lot of characters that I absolutely do not want to live without, and some story arcs that I don't want to live without that I would then miss out on. So
yeah,
I'm glad that it continued. I am also somebody who like I understand the points that people make about the ending and stuff because I've read what Kripke wrote about it when Jensen was like, I don't like the way that this ended because I'm in the same camp as Jensen was originally. And I don't think there's a right or wrong. He said that as well. Everybody can have their own opinion on it, but I don't like it. I think it's stupid. And I just can't watch it. Like I'll probably have watched it twice because I'll watch it once because I've seen it and then once with you and then that's it. I'm not going to watch it again. I hate it.
Yeah, and I can't comment because I haven't seen anything past this episode.
Yeah. I'll be really curious if any of my thoughts or opinions change as we go through all the episodes. Yeah. If I change my mind and I'm like, I see why Kripke came around. But personally, I feel like he just said that to make Jensen finish it so that he would go over and work on the boys. That's my own personal conspiracy theory. Yeah. Do you want to play end of episode games?
Yes. Villain hot or not?
Who is the villain in this episode?
I don't actually know. All I've written is no, and I feel like we've only had 2 hot villains ever, and that was Gordon and Yellow Eyes.
She's so mad. No, because I guess Doc Benton is the bad guy. Doctor. Yeah,
I don't know why we both blanked on who the villain was.
Yeah, I was like, what? He's disgusting. We were blocking out the disgustingness. Yeah. He's not hot, obviously. No. He's a hot mess, just physically falling apart. He's not hot.
He's a hot mess.
Yeah.
Scare rating.
I give it like a 9.5. It's pretty scary, pretty gross.
Yeah, it was actually really creepy, and there was some jump scares, and there was eyeball horror.
Eyeball scoops.
Yeah, and the ending was scary. I think, like we say with Bela.
Yeah.
So I gave it an 8.
Emotional damage. This episode gives me emotional damage. Sarah Gamble should pay for my therapy again. Like, Sarah, why are you doing this? Why are you hurting me?
I only had 1 favourite quote written down as well. Normally I have about 3.
Yeah.
What did you have?
It was when Dean turns around to his burger and says, I can't stay mad at you.
Oh, yeah, that was actually...
Yeah, that was my favorite quote.
That was good. I just had the ear thing, the ear stuff. Did you do her ear? I'll try anything once, but I don't know. That sounds uncomfortable. Yeah. What was your favourite thirst trap?
Sam rescuing that girl.
Yeah, that's what I had.
That was the hottest part of the whole episode. I'm mad at Dean through this whole episode also, so.
Well, I did also put, it was also kind of sexy when Dean was confronting Bela and getting her gun off her, which you did point out as well.
See, that was also very sexy. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay, I think that part is actually hotter to me, personally, but I'm so mad at Dean in this whole episode. I don't know if I can actually, but if I'm being honest, the initial moment where he grabs her in the hotel room is probably the actual thirst trap that I would choose. And then the one after that would be Sam rescuing that girl.
Yeah, I've got the same ones,
Especially
probably
when
just the other way around.
he breaks away from the doctor and then runs him over, and I was like, "Yes, Sam!" And also when he's like sexy smirk, angry Latin Sam, that's pretty good too.
Oh, I forgot about the Latin. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the Latin.
Latin Sam.
Yeah.
Legio.
That's always hot. Legio. That's what we're just going to call him now. Legio is code for sexy Latin Sam. And it's kind of funny because he's got long legs, so he's Legio.
He's Legio.
I didn't have an MVP. I thought we could like talk through it because I don't know who.
Who is the most valuable player? I
kind of want to give it to Bela just because it's her last episode.
Yeah, fuck it. We give it to Bela.
And she had to go through a lot.
She did have to go through
and
a lot.
And the Winchesters were not helpful.
They were dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bela, you're the MVP.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I think would be really cool? Is if we ever had Lauren Cohan on as like a guest. And we'll just be like, you are the best character.
We miss you.
Come back. She'll be like, I'm not even in this episode, guys. And we'll be like, shh, it's fine.
Yeah. I didn't really see much of the motel for the rating. The walls in the corridor were lime green, which was weird, which we saw when Bela goes up to their door. I didn't really notice the actual room though, so I put 2 stars ?
Kind of agree with that. Like, you don't really see much of it. It looks like it's kind of like cabin style to me, like really rustic and kind of like oil painting cabin in the woods sort of visual references, which makes sense because there's a cabin in the woods. Also, the guy who plays the demon actually is an actor from Cabin in the Woods. Fun fact. So yeah, that's what they were doing. I don't really care about it either way. I guess I give it like a 3, maybe.
I feel
Bela's I would stay in.
Oh yeah, Bela's was fancy. I feel like the lime green corridors kind of threw me off. I was like, is this just the same set from Mystery Spot? You know, the bit with the spiral?
Yeah.
Or then there was also an episode where there was loads of trees in the corridors. Which one was that? The dream one. And that would have made more sense because they were in the woods.
Dream a little dream of me. Yeah,
but it definitely wasn't wood green. It was like lime green.
It was key lime pie.
Neon green. Slimer green.
Slimer.
So yes, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Laura.
Whatever. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so season finale, and then we'll have a week off before we start season 4.
I'm so excited.
We'll probably do a bonus episode where I read my dream journal.
I'm so excited for that too. And we should talk to that ghost.
Yeah.
The knocking ghost.
Ooh. Okay.
Laura's like, nope. You're on your own. See ya.
So see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at The Witches of Letters Podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.